Bronk, and I'm so excited to be here live on YouTube. I'm kind of exploring this versus Instagram for live, so this will be fun to see how it works. I am here in the week of May 8th through the 14th, and just wanted to start doing these weekly lives because there's just so much going on, and I wanted to begin by speaking into what's happening in the sky, in the visible sky, because one of the things I'm so passionate about as someone who is training, his deepest training is in the paradigm of shamanic astrology, is helping people really tune into the living sky. So just to understand that where we're at right now is that we have Venus is the most beautiful, brilliant, planet in the sky that we can see, and she's pretty high up there, very bright, beautiful, and she happens to have just moved into the sign of Cancer. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later, but just understand that what that means is that she is currently in a very significant part of the sky. She's at the very center of what the Lakota would refer to as the sacred hoop of stars. This is a birthing point in the sky. Many of the stars are born in that place, and to many of the many ancient peoples across many societies, that this would have been a part of the sky where the souls are born and come to the earth. This is where they come from, and many people say that they come from the stars that are in this region of the sky, which includes the Pleiades. It includes the Winter Triangle, and it also includes Sirius, right within right within this ring. So there's an energy of birthing, and if you look for where Venus is, she's in the center of the hoop, and also this kind of a cross in the sky that you can't necessarily see, but you basically what that's comprised of is the ecliptic line. So right at the center of this ring of stars is the line that it's the line that the moon and the planets travel along the ecliptic, which is that living kind of region of the sky that is basically showing us where the sun moves, and the region within which the sun and the moon and the planets all move from our perspective on Earth. So that's the one line that creates the sacred cross in the sky, and the other line is literally the Milky Way galaxy. It's the edge of the galaxy. So if you've ever seen that spiral swirl of the Milky Way galaxy, we as the Earth are at the edge of the galaxy. So if you can imagine, there are some times when you can look into the very heart of this Milky Way galaxy, and from our perspective, and that's where you see that bulge. When you're looking at the Milky Way, it's it's the center of the galaxy from our view. And then you can see the opposite point in the sky from our perspective is where on Earth we're looking out and we're just seeing a very, the kind of the edge of the galaxy. And so if you follow the Milky Way galaxy band, you can see it's very thick on the one edge, and then on the other, it's much thinner. So galactic edge is, so the line that the galactic equator makes transects the line of the ecliptic in this place in the sky where you'll see Venus is at the center. It's a really beautiful, potent part of the sky that we all kind of, if you tune into it, it's a beautiful place where we can actually tune our energy to that place. And where Venus is right now, it's where the sun's going to be at the summer solstice, is also located right at the center of this hoop. And again, it's a birthing point. So we are rebirthing ourselves. This is the big theme right now, is again, we're in this birth portal. So I wanted to start there. Venus is at that place in the sky. Mars is with Castor and Pollux. Castor and Pollux are at the edge of this sacred hoop. So they are the feet of the twins, Castor and Pollux. You can also see Castor and Pollux and the twins constellation as the poles of duality, like these two kind of columns or poles. So Mars, the sacred masculine, is already in the sign of Cancer, and now Venus is already also in that sign. And so again, this is kind of, I often see the twins constellation as also kind of the legs, and Castor and Pollux, the legs where there's something that's being given birth to into the center of this sacred hoop. And so there's this also this recognition that something very magical is happening right now in this sphere of polarity, duality. In a sense, we're waking up to our multidimensionality, and so we're moving beyond the binary ways of thinking. And if we think that right now what's happening in the Earth on the planet with human consciousness is very messy, and it can look really ugly, and it can feel really ugly on some level. Part of that is because we are, it's kind of like we're fleshing out all the opinions, all the perspectives, everything's coming to the surface, and it's all getting resorted and reshuffled. And so it can be messy. That's what's happening. And so Mars is supporting us and as well with this navigating that either or, yes, no, right, left. Mars as a force in the sign of Cancer is helping to nurture the part of us that can go beyond that and can birth a new self that goes beyond that. So I wanted to speak into where Venus and Mars are. They are going to be quite close to one another by the summer solstice. And that really also brings in a deeper theme of sacred union and the ways we are learning to see these energies of masculine, feminine, yin, yang, instead of setting them against each other and feeling that polarity inside of us as war. Instead, we're learning to feel and experience these different energies as complementary. This is a huge shift, and it's what we're up for it. It's what we're here for. Okay, so as I speak, it's very exciting because also the moon. Now, most of you won't see the moon unless you really are, or you're really late night people, because what happens is that after the full moon, when the moon rises in the east, right as the sun's setting, every night after that, the moon will rise about in the east about 50 minutes later. So pretty soon after the full moon, most of us aren't really seeing the moon in the sky again unless we wake up really late, or we go to bed really late. We're late night people. So, but it's the waning gibbous moon at this stage. So it's like the full, but there's a little bit more out of it. And so the waning gibbous moon is at this time by 3 p.m., even though you wouldn't necessarily see it. Well, some of us could be able to see it in the sky actually during the day. But the waning gibbous moon is lined up with galactic center. And so as you can feel from what I'm describing, there's a lot of really powerful points in the sky that are being activated. I mean, what's new, right? I mean, we're in this moment where it's just like, I was almost complaining to a friend recently. It's like everything's such a big deal all the time astrologically. I'm over it. I'm saying this as an astrologer, right? And the reason I say this as an astrologer is because I'm so aware that we can very easily kind of colonize astrology. We can use it as another way to feel fearful that we're in the wrong place, we're at the wrong time, we didn't get it right, we're not going to get to make it to the rapture, everybody else is going to leave us behind. We don't want to use astrology that way. I don't want to use astrology that way. That's the old story. That's not the new story. In my new story, and we each get to tell our new story, my version, considering we have all this Venus and Mars and Cancer, which is helping us remember at the center point in this sacred womb of the sky, basically, it's helping us remember that in all the other old stories about the time when we have the masculine and feminine, when we have an era where humanity is kind of backwards or humanity is out of balance, what usually happened is that we forgot the original sacred mother, the mother, feminine divine, that holds everything. And she does so in a very inclusive way. And, so she is who we need to call back, like we would have called back the Durga, the great mother in ancient India at the time when they speak of the stories of where we were out of balance as a human species at that time too. So when I'm speaking of this, because to me, this feels like a time of inclusivity, radical inclusivity, that this isn't about, we need to heal that idea that, there's a chosen few and that the rest of us are just going to get left behind. That way of thinking is deeply harmful. And I see it all the time in the spiritual community, and it gets me. I am not in for that. That is not the reality I'm wanting to create. I'm creating a reality where, yes, I understand that in each one of us, we're all evolving, we're all growing. And there are certain ways of being, certain states of being that simply can't survive anymore. They're like an extinction frequency. And so those aspects of who we are needing to die and be collapsed. But really, my sense is that's already what's happening. So that's what's happening inside of us. We can trust that. It's a deeper process. What we really need is to get our critical, fearful minds a bit out of the way so we can actually befriend ourselves in our process, including the messiness and the yuckiness, and it feels like crap, right? That's part of it. So inclusive. I want to have the inclusivity of the Great Mother inside of me, inside of my system. I want to transmit that. I think that actually will create more of a sense of healing and coherence than anything else. That's my sense. Okay, so moon at galactic center, and it's exact right about 3 p.m. Central, where it's about near 27 degrees Sagittarius. And then it's going to be moving into the sign of Capricorn at about 6:33 p.m. Central. So that's the point at which the sun in the course of the year moves to the winter solstice. So if you were to go out at like midnight, I haven't calculated exactly when you would see local time. You'd have to look up yourself. When is moonrise? You can look that up easily. Where is moonrise? If you were to go out and see where the moon is rising at the time of moonrise, you would see that the moon is rising very far to the south on the horizon line. And this is because we understand that even the sun at the winter solstice rises and sets at the furthest extreme to the south, right? But the moon does the same thing every month that the sun does over the course of a year. So I'm just teaching you a little bit about how to work with these mysteries tangibly as well. And thank you. I realize I'm quite rambly right now. I'm kind of getting my grounding, but this is going to evolve. I'm super excited actually to be cultivating, to be able to be out here on this land that's so beautiful and to be able to transmit to you from this place feels like a healing for me because I often keep these worlds separate. Anyway, so, all right. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Venus and Cancer in a moment, but I want to speak into some of the energies of the rest of the week. And we have tomorrow, Tuesday, the sun is conjunct Uranus. And so with Uranus in the heart of great mystery, anytime you've got some kind of a planet in the heart of the sun, there's a strange both and experience where on the one hand, the sun is beaming out the medicine of that planet or that star. And so we get to really get a deep downloads and we get infused with the medicine of whatever that is. So right now, when we go outside, when we connect with the sun, really breathe in, connect into the medicine of Uranus and Taurus, really allow that to filter into your system. You can even imagine it's like streams of grace coming down on you from the sun. Right now, you saw those streams, right? You saw that piercing, and Uranus is very piercing. In a sense, Uranus is kind of a penetrating masculine force that is seeding us with something new. So Uranus with the sun, there's this penetrating force that's filtered through the solar feminine, or I'm sorry, the solar masculine, you could say, or feminine, through this beautiful star that animates and brings to life our planet. And it, of course, is going through its own major changes. There's been a lot of electromagnetic storms. The sun is evolving. There are articles I've read recently that would suggest what indigenous peoples have always known, that the sun, in fact, like the earth, has consciousness. So I want to see that as well. My sense is that each of these beings actually has consciousness. We are part of a larger organism of life. That's one of my deepest beliefs. And I actually believe that when we come to recognize that again and live in this way, then this is how we are going to heal and mend these very concerning issues around climate change and other the big challenges we're facing in our time is when we actually deeply weave our consciousness back into the living universe around us. I deeply believe that. And I think it's the mother that's talking through me right now as well. The great mother speaking to me, through me, of our need to reweave that consciousness. So, all right, so we've got sun conjunct Uranus. So we're getting that filtering of that. And when I said there's a both and, I mean also that what happens is that the sun, great mystery, is also in some sense, because you can't, it's like whatever planet is with the sun, there's a deep purification process that's happening. So whatever frequencies Uranus and Taurus has been carrying that don't serve the collective, that don't serve the healing and the evolution of the whole, that is also being purified. So what might those things be? What I've sensed, and this is also kind of this is what's happening in the wake of the eclipse. So there's, I don't know if you noticed, but when the eclipse is over, there's still the kind of unfolding of whatever the medicine is that was activated at that time. And part of what it is healing our old relationship with money, with our economy, with our resources. And this truly has to do with deeply getting down into the roots of scarcity consciousness and how it shows up, how it plays out, and where we are not in right relationship with money, not in the most inclusive, most healing, most aligned, soul aligned energetics with money. This is up big time for everybody. So what does it look and feel like? My sense is it's an integrative path. So it's not about going up here and saying, I mean, like, everything about our economy and money is amazing, wonderful, thank you, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm making fun of it actually right now because I think that I see so much of that out there and there is truth in it. And yet I find that it doesn't feel fully authentic to try to live in that kind of upper world around it all the time without, okay, so I go there, I have my higher states when I generate finances in a way that feels really happy and free and liberating. I feel those high states. And then I think it's natural to go down into a deeper state where I'm having to face the places within myself that then might get triggered into forgetting what it's really about. I can get a little bit mesmerized, like, oh, I'm making more money, or, it's a both and. It's, again, we're healing our relationship with money, and it's tricky territory. I think it's absolutely vital and potent and powerful. But again, it's okay if you go into fear around it. It's okay if you feel grossed out by money in some way because of the extractive nature of how it's been used. That doesn't make you, it doesn't mean you're going to cut yourself off from receiving abundance and wealth, because, we're trying to sort this out. I've got all the horses there agreeing with me. Okay, so, but that's the big field. And so Uranus in Taurus with the sun in Taurus, I feel, is a process of helping us purify our personal relationship with money, with finance, with economics, and with the material world around us. How do we come into right relationship? How do we wake up to the new forms of economy that want to be brought into reality in our worlds and in our consciousness? That, I think, is what's big and awakening. Then we have, that's one of the big, I'm actually just going to tune into the biggest aspects this week, because there's just so much and I don't want these to be too long. We do have Moon with Pluto on Wednesday. So again, that's kind of a reactivation of some of the energies when Pluto is stationing retrograde on May Day, on the 1st of May. Then Thursday, we have the last quarter moon. So by Thursday, if you, when the sun rises, when it's a last quarter moon, you will, let's see, yeah, the moon would be at the bottom of the sky. So by the time the sun's setting, when we are at that last quarter moon, I always get this a little bit turned around. I'm a little dyslexic sometimes. I believe the moon would be at the top of the sky at sunset, right? I'm going to have to remember if that's right or not. Actually, yeah, I'll get back to you on that. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing because I know this, but I forget these very basic things. This is part of why sometimes yeah, it's easy to forget these. I do it backwards in my head. In any case, so it's the last quarter moon, and the last quarter moon is going to be with the star in the sea goat, in the sea goat's tail. It's Denim Algeti. I'm having to remember what that is, but it was a star that was activated by Saturn multiple times in Saturn's movement through Aquarius. So this is a very important portal. It's a very important star in the sky. And one of the many ways to look at it is about opening us up to realities far beyond what we are accustomed to opening to. It's our multidimensional selves opening to magic, to beauty. And for example, I feel strongly that fairies are real, that mermaids are real, that these beings that our ancestors all saw and knew, and across ancient Native America as well, they believed in mer people. I have friends who've seen them. I believe in this magic. I know it's real. It just has to do with tuning your frequency to see what's actually there that's usually hidden to the human eye. So it's opening to magic and wonder and the multidimensional realities that live around us at all times. Okay, it's also with Hygeia. And so one of the ways to dream into that is that there is at this last quarter moon a healing, because Hygeia is a very powerful healing force, a healing of our separation from the magical realities that underpin this 3D reality that we where we can only see what's on the surface. It's an opening into a magical healing of our perception so that we can really remember to tune into the many realities that are existent here on the land and within our material reality all the time, the magic that lives there. Okay, and then finally, there are other facets. Friday is kind of a super magical day. And as a shamanic astrologer, I was actually originally taught to not focus so much on trines and sextiles, because when we think about what's actually happening in the sky, you could say there's really not much happening. My sense, however, is that I have rebelled against that for some time because I feel that there is some truth to the way that in these sextile and trine energies, there's an ease and there's a flow, and I want to invite that in on all levels all the time. So I feel that Friday, plus the collective is focused on it because everybody is remembering astrology right now. So just know Friday, Mercury is trine Saturn. I'm sorry, sextile Saturn. And Mercury is sextile Venus. And Venus is trine Saturn. So interesting. So am I saying that right? That feels a little strange. In any case, so that's, yeah, so there's all of these trines and sextiles that are bringing us into harmony with Mercury, the mind. So this is a day to really tune into what inspires you, what really feels positive to you, what feels in alignment, and bring it more alive in your mind as we come to the very tail end of the Mercury retrograde cycle, to really take some time to seed and dream your visions at another level. And so there's that, and then we have Venus trine Saturn, and so there's this Saturn and Venus aspect as well, and so that can also feature a healing or smooth flow in the realm of partnership, relationship, love, and you could say an infusion from the divine feminine herself to support us in moving into states of more grace and ease and flow. And we've been doing a lot of work. So, it's good to kind of take time off. It's good to rest. It's good to just let ourselves receive what feels easy. We need, it's like the concept of the fallow field. You can't just keep working and working and working and doing your self-help and doing all your growth without taking time to just chill. Just do nothing. Just let yourself have a day to be free. So this might be that day for you to just dream. Just dream. Okay. And then all that leads us to Sunday, and Sunday is the really kind of the big day of the week because that's when Mercury stations direct, and it's also Mother's Day. So that takes me then, we're getting to 23 minutes. I'm going to want these to be quicker usually, but it does take me again to this theme of Cancer. Mars is in Cancer, Venus just moved into Cancer, and we have Mother's Day on Sunday. So I've just had so much I've wanted to say about this. So I'm going to try to keep it really pointed. I've already begun to speak into it, but more and more, again, I feel, I've never had children. So in this lifetime, I have not been a physical mother. At the same time, I would say that because my South Node is in Cancer and because my IC or nadir, it's like the root of the chart is in Cancer as well. People feel the Cancer energy in me quite frequently. And as much as I often shame myself sometimes, or I've healed that, I've been healing that around the South Node connotations, because yes, we can get stuck on our South Node. I still very strongly feel that the South Node does, like the moon, carry the medicine of what we know deeply in our bones. So I honor it. I honor it. I know a lot about Cancer. I have a lot of clients who come to me with the Cancer archetype. and a ton of clients. And I work with a lot of people who carry strong Cancer frequencies. And my mom is a Cancer sun and a Cancer ascendant. One of my closest sister when I was born is a Cancer sun as well and a Cancer ascendant. One of my closest nieces as well as a Cancer ascendant, and I can't remember what else, but I have strong Cancer in my field. And even the word, I think we need to change, because I don't think there's any coincidence that the word for this disease and the word for the sign are the same. To me, it feels like we live in a time where, I will just say what I want. I feel we will know that we have evolved a wise culture when we have become a culture that deeply mothers and cherishes the mothers. And I don't just mean people in female bodies. I mean anyone of any gender, gender too, anyone of any gender who deeply nourishes, who holds the field of nurturing in the world around them, who cares for the elders and for the young, and who works tirelessly to, as a teacher or as someone who, sometimes it's very invisible the way Cancer works. Well, almost always, but Cancer, as the part of us that is Cancerian, is the part that very naturally is going to want to bring great love, compassion, and tending into the world around us, into our human relationships and our more than human relationships. She is the one who is tending to what is right there in front of us, who is taking care, who sees what needs nourishment and provides that. And she also knows how to grow and how to bring into full development the child, the project, the relationship, the new, really the new paradigm as well, but in a very close and personal way. There's so much more I want to say about Cancer. I feel like I'm going to do a separate video on that, but mother the mothers, and mother the mother inside yourself. And when you are doing work in your community or in your family, you're tending to family dynamics, caring for the invisible kind of skein of the connections that weave the closest community connections around you. When you do that work, often, there's no financial reward for that, so we don't value it. And so it's for us to value it. It's for us to really honor ourselves for tending to our elders, to really honor ourselves for looking out for our neighbors, to really honor ourselves for taking note of that child in our life that needs more tending and more care, or that elder who is isolated, and reaching out. That's up to us to do it, and to find the places where we can do that authentically and with joy and with celebration in our hearts. But when we do that, just like any other thing that requires some discipline, we honor ourselves. We don't say, I mean, if we've done too much, if we've given too much, we pay attention to that and we learn to balance it with what's regenerative for us. But we also acknowledge and honor that that was something beautiful that we did. We honor our grandmothers, our grandfathers, we honor our ancestors in all the ways they nurtured the world around us. So I just want to end with that and just say, I hope you have a beautiful week. It's a gorgeous week. Enjoy it. And I will be speaking to you in the next week. Let me know how you like this.